Okay, let's talk about the X-ennial, that tiny micro generation born roughly between 1977 to 1983. And before anyone argues in the comments, no, you're not Gen X and you're not a millennial. You're both and neither at the same time. Xennials had a fully analog childhood. You rode your bike until the streetlights came on. You answered the phone without knowing who was calling. You waited a week for new episodes. You were raised in a world where boredom still existed. And then, right as you entered adulthood, the digital world detonated. Email, cell phones, early internet culture, social media in its Wild West era. You went from zero connectivity to full immersion almost overnight. That split timeline created a very specific internal architecture. Xennials have the independence and cynicism of Gen X, but the emotional intelligence and reform energy of millennials. You know how to detach when necessary, but you also know how to name your feelings without imploding. You can fix a printer and cry in therapy in the same afternoon. And that's the Xennial frequency. Your field is interesting because you grew up in a world that taught you survival, and you came of age in a world that demanded self-reflection. So you learned how to run two operating systems at once. Don't depend on anyone and build community or you'll drown. Two very contradictory types of realities. This is also why Xennials often feel out of place. They're too earnest for Gen X, they're too blunt for millennials, they're too old for Gen Z, they're too online to be boomers or anything like boomers. They're a permanent in between. But that's exactly your strength. Xennials understand both collapse and creation. You watch the old systems crack, and you stepped into adulthood just as the pressure to fix them began. You carry X realism and millennial idealism simultaneously. This makes you natural translators for the moment we're living in. If you've ever felt like you lived two timelines or two lifetimes, you did. If you've ever felt older than your peers but younger than your responsibilities, you are. If you've ever felt like the world moves too fast and not fast enough at the same time, welcome to the hinge point. Xennials aren't confused, they're incredibly adaptive. You're coherent across two timelines, and honestly, the future needs people who can hold both.